Was 2024 a crazy year for like K-pop and just general K-pop media? Or is it just me? I know everyone says like this was the craziest year for this, but honestly, I felt like a lot happened this year in terms of like 2024 now that we're looking back. And y'all, do you remember the number one story I would say of this year, and it's still ongoing, is this Jin, New Jeans, ADOR slash HYBE ongoing drama. I've done separate videos about this on my TikTok, but I haven't really posted to YouTube. But it's just insane in ways that it's just permeated the general pop culture and online discourse. It seemed that everyone and their mother, including myself, had an opinion about this, and there is no like general consensus. But it is crazy seeing how this is playing out in the media and ultimately where this leaves New Jeans, because they've been stuck in this limbo, honestly, which is the most tragic part. Where honestly they haven't released new stuff since like June maybe, and like no other plans for tours, concerts, all this other stuff, because they're in this weird limbo in between ADOR and HYBE and Jin, and ultimately I feel like this just hurts New Jeans, the girls as themselves. Where we are currently, we're at the end of December and I haven't been keeping up with this. I'm just gonna let the chips fall where they may and we'll see what happens. Like I said, things change every day, but as of lately, I believe it was the girls had announced that they're terminating their contracts. However, in terms of the actual legal proceedings behind that and incurring whatever monetary penalties, I don't know how that's gone so far, but they basically said that we are no longer New Jeans, or they want to continue working together as a group, but not with HYBE. So honestly, it is interesting to see how that will play out into 2025 and how that will affect how groups are going to be treated within contracts, within big companies, within doing these kinds of contract negotiations. Because now 50-50 is the only other group I can think of that kind of just is semi-similar. If groups are just to say, forget your contract, we're too big for this, we're too good for this, it could be detrimental and hurt smaller K-pop companies. But typically when these smaller companies die out, you do lose the opportunity to have people come up in that like underground way. You could be missing talent just because there are certain companies and groups that maybe aren't willing to take risks to invest in these groups just to have them turn on them. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's likely what's going to happen. But that's another discussion for another day. But the New Jeans Jin discourse has been really interesting and really excited to see how it's going to play out. Although I don't think it's going to end well, and I'm really sad because I never got to see New Jeans live, and they're so good. And even if they do end up in some new interpretation, they won't have the rights to their old songs and old stuff. But here we go. Speaking of this New Jeans drama, there was like an unexpected consequence, but it kind of sucked, is that all these other girl groups and like other groups in general were like, catching strays from online netizens or whatever. Especially, I feel like, I mean, girl groups are getting it bad, but I feel like sserafim was just like the target of so much anti-fans and online hate this year. It was actually like a little sad. It was just like so blatant and baseless, you know? I think a lot of it started from the fact that they were one of the girl groups or like a K-pop group, period, to perform at Coachella this year. With them and ATEEZ and the Woes were the other group. sserafim basically were catching so much online hate for saying, you know, these girls don't perform live, these girls are horrible singers. And, you know, as someone who is actually there in the Coachella like pit and in the crowd, I can tell you their performance was so good. Like, yes, obviously there was backing track, but you can definitely hear that their microphones and their vocals still shone through. And I'm just saying this as someone was there, someone was in the moment. It was a great performance, okay? And I know the stream or whatever these people have been posting has just been not super favorable, but, you know, as someone that was there, I can say that I had a great time. I would say sserafim, independent of all that, had one of the best releases of 2024. Easy, just the mini EP Easy was great, but just the one single Easy itself was the top song, the top played song of my Spotify this year of 2024, which is insane. But yeah, I would say that's easily one of my favorite songs of 2024 was Easy. Just because, I don't know. It was just like such a different sound. Honestly, they should lean more into it. I love it. I love it. It was so good. And between Easy and Smart, it was just like living rent free in my brain for just like months. Probably the most part of this year. Honestly, my husband still listens to Easy at least every other day, once a day. It's like his go-to working music, his go-to workout music, his go-to driving music sometimes. But yeah, with Seraphim, it hit. Now, honestly, Easy might be their best release ever. It's certainly, like, probably one of my favorite songs of this year. Who can forget the Yoongi scooter incident, DUI, that was just headlines and Twitter threads for just weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's like, people, get a life. You know what I'm saying? I understand this is, like, a very serious, matter. They don't tread lightly or whatever in, like, Korea. But, like, let's look at the bigger picture here, okay? The bigger picture is that, he didn't hurt anyone. He didn't even hurt himself. It was just like the video footage. Also, yeah, did we forget that there was just like blatantly false footage that was released by the media? You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to fact check your shit. Like, and they were pushing the story, and like even if they eventually like retracted the video and apologized for it, like the damage had been done kind of. And not to mention that the story was going on for so long with no real like updates or anything about it. And it was it was a tough time. Yeah, everyone always says it's like, there's something darker, more nefarious going on, and they like to just like, oh, look at this K-pop scandal to kind of distract us all from what's really going on. And there's been a lot of random turmoil and stuff like that within Korean government, but I don't follow that too closely. Obviously, I only know like whatever headlines end up reaching here in America. But yeah, let's all take that with a grain of salt, y'all, because when we're comparing things here in terms of harm to individuals and to people, it was more minimal than compared to, let's say, NCT drama. Like, can you believe this tae-il drama happened this year? Like, it was so shocking. And then everyone, I felt like, brushed over it after a day. Not even a day. It was like maybe crazy for like 2 hours. And then 12 to 24 hours later, it was just like, all right, he's trash. We've moved on. I'm like, hello? Like, all right, let's just not forget, okay? Between the sexual assault and allegations and him just being swiftly kicked out of the group and just kind of like just forgotten. But this was already after, NCT was like promoting and doing like all this stuff this year. Just to have that happen so swiftly, quickly, and without like any sort of like, I don't know, care to the fans was also shocking. This has all happened this year. And speaking of SM, yeah, there was also all the riize stuff that happened this year. I'm just like, as someone, I don't really follow riize at all, but it was impossible to escape these kind of headlines. The whiplash. The whiplash of him being in the group, being kicked out of the group, back in the group, and then the fans' protests and reactions, so they kicked him back out of the group, was bananas. So, like, that's crazy pants behavior, okay, everyone. But it is interesting seeing that, like, the will of the fans and, like, the will of the fandom and, like, the public has that much sway on, SM to make this decision, which, I can't tell if it's, like, respect or just, like, bro, come on, The whims of things and people change on a dime. Let's have a little bit more integrity and backbone here. But yeah, there was like a lot of random stuff that happened in 2024, which I'm just like, maybe I was just like, didn't have a life this year, which, is like not true, but maybe I was just like way more online than I usually am, which I was trying not to be, but maybe I was. And so maybe I was just paying more attention to this, but actually I don't know if most people were following this, but I just feel like those were like huge stories that happened this year. That's just like shocking. But just purely like music and not even kind of like pop culture moments aside, I think that 2024 was like a pretty big year for K-pop. I would say the ultimate winners, not that there's winners and losers, but there's definitely winners of 2024 is certainly, if I had to choose from the girl group side, it would be probably aespa or the sserafim. But definitely aespa, I feel like, had some of the biggest singles this year that I personally loved. And, well, okay, what did they have this year? I think it was also Armageddon, Supernova, and then like Whiplash were some of the biggest bops of the year, first of all. But in terms of just like everything from their styling to their concepts to the actual like songs, the productions themselves, the dances were like so iconic. Like everything was just like A plus all across the board, where it was just like, yeah. aespa, I think, are the ultimate like winners of 2024 across all groups. You know what I'm saying? Just purely in terms of music. But I would say that for me personally, Le Sserafim also had a pretty like standout year. I think all of their releases went really well, and in between, like I said, Easy was maybe my song of the year. Definitely, yeah, number one most played this year. So I have to give a special shout out to Le Sserafim. Also, in terms of just like maybe like boy groups, like technically music wise, this isn't like my favorite release, but 17 just like they're just that group, like in terms of like touring, in terms of their impact, they're just like we're everywhere this year. And maybe I am a little bit biased because I finally got to see 17 again when they toured in the US, but yeah, in terms of like the actual singles that came out, what were the main title tracks this year? It was Gotta Music and then Maestro. Like technically, those are the two facets of 17, and they're probably not my most favorite 17 releases. They were still good. They did good, at least like commercially, in terms of like sales, in terms of like the tours that they did this year. They went on so many tours all over Asia, all over the US, and I'm pretty sure they all sold out. Like it was like crazy trying to get those tickets. But I would say, honestly, this year was for the girlies, so let's be real. But of the boy groups, probably 17 did pretty well as Stray Kids. Like obviously, the Stray Kids world tour just keeps on rolling and keeps on going through. I couldn't really tell you that much about their singles this year. Yeah, Stray Kids is always just like, in the conversation, in the equation for in terms of like boy group dominance. Wait, isn't the name of the thing? It was Dominate? Ugh, look at it. Full circle. Full circle moment. But yeah, and like just also obviously you had to do the honorable mentions just because they also were playing at, was it Lollapalooza this year? And they've just been like making their circuit around with like the like festivals, which honestly, yeah, between 17, Stray Kids, Le Sserafim, ATEEZ, HYBE, there's been like quite a few like K-pop groups that have been like making their way around, like global music festivals this year, and it has been fun to see. But yeah, so those I would say like probably like headline bigger acts of this year. A lot of like we would say maybe like previous generations of like the bigger acts, like between BTS and Blackpink, they all had their solo releases this year. And so also like a contender for maybe best release of this year, and it came so late in the year, was Rose and Bruno Mars. Obviously you couldn't escape the song anywhere, like pata 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 pata. Whoever was doing Rose is so smart because I already know like Bruno Mars is extremely popular here in the US, obviously, but he has such a big global impact as well. Like people in Asia, they love Bruno Mars, you know what I'm saying? So this is like the collab of the decade and definitely the collab of this year. But yeah, and you couldn't just like escape it. It's playing everywhere. It's like a perfect pop song, objectively speaking, in terms of just like mass appeal audience. It's a perfect pop song. Yeah, and it's what's like, it's had an impact when it's like my non-K-pop friends talk to me about it. It's like even they can't escape it, you know? And if they can't escape it and they're talking to me about it, that's how you know it has reach, it has appeal. Yeah, in between that, my personal, also other favorite collab of this year, also maybe probably in the top 5, top 3, can we call it a K-pop song of this year, is the Lisa Rosalia collab for New Woman, because I love Rosalia. Okay, everyone just thinks that I love Rosalia. Okay. And this was just like such a good song. And I will say it probably has more to do with Rosalia's impact than actual Lisa song. If we compare it to Lisa's other solo releases, don't hate me. I'm sorry. I love Lisa still, but it was a great collab. And then even in terms of BTS solo stuff, there was a lot of stuff that came out this year. And I followed it to a certain extent, but by far, RM solo release was the best. Okay. I'm just saying this is me. This is my personal opinion. Okay. This is not reflective of anyone else's thoughts or opinions than my own. And it certainly was not for everyone, but it was for me. Okay. Was RM's right person, wrong place. Right person, wrong place, or wrong person, right? Y'all, see, fake fan. I can't even remember the actual name of it, even though I was saying it's the best one. RM, wrong. Yeah, no, I was right. No, wait, what? Right place, wrong person. God damn it. Don't make fun of me, okay? I can't. It also came out a while ago now, but yeah, just in terms of just like production, lyrics, writing, freaking the music videos, the short film that came out with it, like everything was a perfect culmination of just like RM when he does his best. And that's why I have no choice but to stand RM for president, okay? Kim Namjoon. That was my favorite BTS solo release of this year, and also probably just one of my favorite releases in general. And in terms of just like the music, I feel like I have to make a special like little section for like the newbies of this year, the kind of like either their first year or like kind of like their younger groups of this year. And there was like a lot. We'll start with the boy side because honestly, it was like a weird year for boy groups. I don't know. I wasn't really following, but I think the TWS single-handedly probably had like one of the bigger newbie groups this year. We saw them at KCON LA. They also had like a pretty big presence and they were good. Who else was there besides that? Zero Base One, and then TWS, and then what is that freaking other group? Boy Next Door, obviously. Boy Next Door obviously had a huge year besides TWS. And then they were also all there at KCON LA, which was fun because I like kind of knew like some of the singles, but I didn't know like a lot of the groups. So that was really cool to see. But in terms of like the girl groups, I think it's like kind of impossible to deny that like Islet, I think it's Islet, had like one of the biggest singles, one of the biggest debuts for this year with Magnetic. Like, ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really do it. But yeah, that song also was everywhere. Couldn't really escape it. Everyone was listening to it. I actually like that. And, like Cherish. It's like very catchy, obviously. And, like I feel like that was signaling the trends of like, kind of like the little hand dances this year. Everything wasn't like super crazy, like jumps and crazy. It was just like, little hand things, like touch, patu, magnetic, like those were just like the larger trends of all the dance challenges that we saw this year. And speaking of touch, Cat's Eye also kind of had like a pretty big debut this year, like in terms of just like their their actual debut. Honestly, they only have like 5 songs. But yeah, in between like debut and touch and stuff like that, the Netflix documentary, they've also kind of been like all over my timeline, my feed, and just like I have been hearing them a lot from other people. And they've been having like a year. And then I know technically this next group is not a new group, but I feel like Kiss of Life has just like also, they've definitely had like maybe it's just because of me in the US, and maybe I'm a little biased because there's also a Julie's Unite, okay? But I don't know, I've been like freaking blowing up. I feel like their tour was like pretty largely talked about. It's kind of everywhere. And then obviously like between the dance challenges, like Igloo, I like still can't like stop thinking about like but yeah, maybe that's just like recency bias because it's still going on. But yeah, those are like, I feel like standout like new groups, new singles, new things for this year. And just to kind of wrap it up as just like a part 3 of just like, I don't even know what to call it, like memes, like TikToks, like random like LOL moments of freaking 2024. Like for me, we'll start with the Jin discharge from the army. He's the first member of BTS to be discharged and is back, and he was kind of just like by himself for a large part of this year. But man went straight to work the second he was discharged. But I just wanted to highlight the freaking discharge ceremony where all the members came to greet Jin when he was being discharged, and there was just like memes on memes for days from that one event, like RM with his freaking saxophone. There was the freaking I don't even know, the hugs, the freaking live. It was just like a lot of comedy and silliness that was happening that day, but we love to see it. And then along the same lines was that one freaking, just in between Bang PD and Beverly Hills with the younger model girl, and he's just like walking through like Rodeo Drive. Was honestly hilarious. Yeah. Everything about that was so absurd, but so funny. You know what? Good for him. Good for him. And between that and the mini Jin like outfit that she wore to that press conference, just the green striped shirt with the freaking Dodgers hat, like I was like fully expecting that to be everyone's Halloween costume, just because like the look of it was just like so absurd and iconic, but also hilarious. Oh, the Give Me My Money trend. Like P1 Harmony has been my new it group of this year. I just like have been watching and listening to so much of their stuff. I don't know. They're just like so funny though. It's like impossible not to go anywhere without running into them. Even to the point where I have like my sister or like random people sending me P1 Harmony clips, memes, TikToks, just because like they're all over. They're so funny and they always go so viral on TikTok. One of them being, of course, the Give Me My Money trend with poor Jiung just like got absolutely roasted and obliterated and just like cringe. That was iconic. So funny this year. Oh, my also personal favorite is when the Sserafim were at the MTV VMAs? What was it? And then it was the commentary, and it was just like, oh my God, that Bob, that cunty Bob. So since then, I haven't been able to talk normally since then. Every single time I refer to a Bob, it's just like, oh, her with the cunty Bob. Yeah. And that's the recap for 2024. Thank you so much for watching. I think I'm going to start doing these every month again. Let me know what you guys think. Otherwise, hope you have a great 2025 so far, and I'll see you in the next video.